Funding for Love to Paint with Mimi was provided by Agnes Gund. Utrecht Art Supplies, celebrating 60 years. And by Kelly and Robert Day. Additional funding was provided by the following.
Hi, I'm Mimi. Today we're going to paint the incredible colors of sunrise, so grab your paints and let's get started. Ready, set, go. Here we go. Paint on paper. This is what creation is about. Woo, isn't that beautiful? This is the beach. Look at that green against that yellow. I mean, it just sings. We're dancing with this color. It's going across the page. I'm a shape maker. That's what artists do. They make shapes, they create color, they do all these incredible things. Oh, I love to paint. Viewers often ask me, how did you become an artist? And today I'm going to tell you about my journey. And then we're going to make a painting inspired by this incredible sunrise. Right from the get-go, I always loved art. Even when I was in grade school, I loved art. I had a wonderful teacher. I had a wonderful teacher in high school also. But there was that part of me as a child and as a teenager that I didn't think I was good enough. It was never good enough. And then I ended up going to art school, and I ended up studying at Yale for a while, and there was a little school called the Pear School of Art in New Haven. And I think it's in the beginning when you're learning a skill. It takes a lot of guts to learn to do something when you really can't do it. You've got to learn the language of what you're doing. If you're a singer, you need to learn how to use your voice. And if you're a painter, you need to learn how to use paint. You need to know how to draw, because you have all these great ideas, but if you can't put them into reality, it's just an idea. And my father always used to say, ideas are cheap, but do something. So it's like putting this into reality. And of course it's not going to look great in the beginning, or you may be lucky and have it look great, but there's some days when things aren't going to go great. And those are the days you just say, you know, this wasn't my best day, but at least I had fun doing it, or at least I keep doing it, and I know that tomorrow is going to be another day. And I get another chance to create in something absolutely magnificent. And I really do. I get the opportunity to hook into some energy much greater than myself. I transitioned from painting to sculpting because my husband in 1979 was killed in an automobile accident. And before then I had been doing all these landscape paintings, and they were pretty, they were beautiful actually. But then I had all this sorrow to deal with, and I moved to Mexico and I started sculpting. For me, a lot of the sculpture, the beginning sculpture, was about trying to figure out the male, female, and the child and how that worked. Because we all have the male side, the female side, and our inner child. And then it was about being in harmony, these three dancing in harmony. And where did the focus go? If you had the two parents, where did they focus? And then I realized they had to focus on the child. So I kept having these revelations as I was doing these pieces. And then I can remember my first show at the United Nations, and I meditate in the morning, and all these ideas started coming through, sculpture that I was supposed to do. And it was about celebration of life, and it was about peace. And it was about peace coming on the earth and the potential of every single human being in a space of peace. And so the first show was called 1,000 Years of Peace. Once that UN show hit, I mean, everything changed. Then I ended up being invited to go to The Hague in the Netherlands on a big peace conference. And that's, you know, that was incredible, that whole trip there. And then I ended up in Paris. And then the big one was when the Archbishop of Canterbury connected with my work through the United Nations and asked me to do a commission. And then one day he said to me, would you like to meet the Queen? And I said, yes, that would be very nice. I didn't really get the impact of the importance of something like that. It's really an honor. I don't think it matters how you're creative. You could plant a garden, or, you know, cook in the kitchen, or You could dance around the house, or you could sing in the shower, or sing in the car, or you can paint. You could just get color, any kind of color, pastels, and just put it down. But do something. And if you have the desire, if something's come across your radar screen that says, oh, I wish I could just sketch, do it. That means there's something inside you that wants to do it. And that's so important to listen. Listen to that inner self, because that's who we truly are. And I want people of all ages, from the little ones to the people who are, been painting for years, and for the people who've never picked up a brush, of any age, to feel, if I've ever wanted to paint, I'm going to try it. If I've ever wanted to create anything, I'm going to try it. And if I don't know how to do it, I'll go ask for help. There are people that know how to teach these things. I will go find that help. I'm going to have the joy of creating in my life. I absolutely love to paint, and we're going to have such a fabulous time today. And today I'm using 3 brushes. We have a 2-inch flat, we have a 12-inch round, and we have a rigger brush. We're using 140-pound cold pressed paper, and the colors we're using are just so beautiful. I just want to show you a few of them. We've got ultramarine blue. We have phthalo blue. Look at that color. Oh, it's so gorgeous. We have phthalo green. These colors are just so extraordinary. And then we have alizarin. Look at that alizarin. I'm trying to get all the paint out of here. And then we have cambium red. And I have 2 yellows here. There's new gamboge and cambium. It doesn't matter. But I just need 2, because if they get dirty, that way I can have a fresh color. And we have 2 browns here, burnt sienna, burnt umber. Now that's our palette for today. Now we're going to start off, and we're going to put a lay in. And you saw that magnificent sunrise, and that's where I'm going to start to replicate. And I have 2 jars of water here. And this is so exciting, watching the paint go on. And we get a few little sprinkles here and there. Painting upside down, or this is, painting when it's upright is sometimes a bit of a challenge. But we just continue, we just go ahead and do it. I need more water here. We're going to take this all the way down. And you saw in the sunrise how the whole sky was beautiful pink. And that's what happens when the sun rises, the sun comes up, it's always red and pink at the beginning, and then as it starts to rise up, it turns to yellow, and then it keeps changing. And it turns into blue, and then purple, and of course there's green in the middle. So it goes red to orange, orange to yellow, yellow to green. Now we've got a few little spots here. You can see where the paint is staining a bit, where it's dripped down. But that's going to be fine. I'm not trying to do anything perfect. The whole thing is we're painting for fun. It doesn't matter if it looks that great in the end. Of course, we'd like it to. But if it doesn't, we still have the experience of doing a painting. And that's what's so exciting. And you can see how the water is pulling down. And we have these wonderful things in the sky, like that bleeding. It's called bleeding. So beautiful. Now we're going to go across here. And I'm going to leave a few little whites in here because we're going to pretend that the light is coming down and hitting the water, so there could be a few little lights in there. The thing about painting that's so incredible is you get to really, really look. And we never look, or I never look the same when I'm looking at something or taking a photograph of it, the same as if I'm painting it. And now I have the feeling of this painting, actually. I have the feeling of what it's like. I know what the light looks like. I know what the rocks look like. And I can now try and replicate this, or replicate the feeling I have on this piece of paper. Now we're waiting for this to dry, and while we wait for it to dry, we just have to plain be patient. But I'm going to put on the sides a little bit of blue because I want there to be a variation in the paper. I don't want everything to be exactly the same. So I'm going to take it over like this. And this is a design concept. We've got a little bit right down here. And you see, it's just, watercolor is so unbelievable. Look at that. Just look at that line. And the little bit of blue there. And I'm using alizarin blue, and now I'm using a little bit of the phthalo blue, and I'm going to just take it across here. And it's a little tricky here because if we're not careful, it can start to bubble. And I'm looking to see if it's dry, and the way we can tell if it's dry is if it's shiny, it's still wet. And it feels pretty dry there, and I'm going to see, is it dry there? Nope. Do you see how I made a little fingerprint there? And then up in this corner, I'm going to have the same thing. I'm going to have a little blue coming across here. Just a little bit here. Because I know what's going to happen, and you saw the picture of what it's going to look like. And so I'm trying to do something called gradation, which is moving gently from one color into the other. Now we're going to go and start to do the rocks. So I've got this incredible brush. And I'm using the two browns, and I'm going to throw some blue in there. But actually, I want to be careful in the beginning not to make it too dark, because I want to work from light to dark, and the top of the rocks is going to be lighter than the bottom because the water comes in and touches the bottom of the rocks. So here we go, and I'm thinking about the shape of this. It's going to go like that, and it's going to come down. These rocks are very rugged, and they're sharp, and that's why you use a flat brush. This is a straight brush. It's not a round brush, and rocks are angular. So we do like that, and then we come down, and then we're going to go up. And this is going to go up higher, and it's going to come down, and we don't want it to go all the way over to this side of the page. I want to have a little passage where you can get in there. And this rock's going to go down here. And I think we're going to have it come down here. And I'm thinking also about what am I going to be doing next? And I think, well, you know it's going to be darker down here, but I also do, have you noticed, I have one rock, it's a different shape, it's a different height, and this is for variety. And I don't want this coming off the page, so I'm going to do that, just so that the rocks don't go sliding out, your eye doesn't go sliding out of the page. And then we have, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to put some dark in here. You know, painting is like, you have no idea what's really going to happen. You have a sense of what you feel about the work, and that's what's important. Someone said that it's the way the artist feels about the subject. So it isn't necessarily happening what's happening inside me or it's happening outside there. It's what's going on between my reaction to this subject matter. So now I'm going to put a little blue. We've got a little ultramarine, couple of browns here. And I want to hit this pretty dark. And I'm thinking, is this going to be low enough? And it's, you know, there's no way using a big brush like this that you really have, you have an idea of the value you're using, but you really don't know. I don't know if that's going to look like that. I didn't know the blue and the brown were going to look like that. I have no idea. But I'm starting to think shape in here. And I don't want to have a straight, all these rocks and all that dark thing straight, because it's boring. And we don't want to be boring. As artists, we get to be exciting. We get to create. And now I'm waiting for this to dry, and let's see, that's dry there. Now, the viewer at home, if you're painting along with me and you notice that the paint is wet, just wait until it dries. You can tape me, but what will happen if you put paint and it's wet, you're going to have a bubble. It's going to, like a blotter, it's going to go right where you don't want it to go necessarily. Now we have another rock formation here, and I'm going to even add a little bit of the alizarin just to vary it up, make a different color. Oh, isn't that, it's really pretty. And this is going to be darker along here too. I kind of am looking at the whole picture here. Now I've got something that's pretty exciting that I'm going to do here. And this is a plastic card that anyone has in their house. And what I want to do here is to use this plastic card and make rocks. Now this is pretty clever. Look at that. And I've got to be careful not to overdo it. But look, isn't that just incredible? I mean, I get so excited when I paint because it's just so miraculous. Okay, now we've got this rock formation here. And then we have a little rock in here too. And so we're going to put the little rock right in here. We're going to have it going off the page. I want a little bit of blue in there. This is a smaller rock. And we're going to have so much fun making these reflections too. Now, we're going to make a big, massive rock in the beginning. And I'm thinking about composition. You know, this is a larger shape. This is smaller than that. This is the smallest one of all. But now in the foreground, things are always bigger. So I'm going to make a really wonderful rock here in the foreground. It's going to be big. And maybe that's a little too dark. In art, we're always saying, is it too light? Is it too dark? Is it too hot? Is it too cold? And I'm thinking about the shape of this rock again. We don't want it to be a straight line. We want to have it, you know, going up a bit, down a bit. And I'm going to bring it all the way beyond this rock over here like this. So we have this feeling that you're going into the painting and up. Okay, now, this is exciting. I really, really love to put paint on. Now, I think we're going to come back and put a little dark in here. And then what we want to do is we want to go back to the plastic card. And I'm going to hold on to this. Doesn't that make extraordinary rocks? And I don't really know what's going to happen. I really don't. But I have a sense that I want it to be lighter. But what a clever tool that is. And then what we want to do is we're going to have a few other shapes up in here. And I don't really know what I'm doing. And I probably, you know, I think I need to have a red right in there, just for the fun of it. Well, let's put a red in there. You know, it could be a buoy. It could be some seaweed. Who knows what it is? And now what I want to do is I want to make the horizon line because there's water in the back of this. And so I've got now I like to use a straight edge because I like to have a straight line. So what I'm going to do is go up here, and this is a little tricky because that's a pretty small little area in there, but I'm going to mix the color up. And in the background, the color is going to be lighter than it is in the foreground. So I'm going to use my round brush because this is a little area, and we want to make sure that we don't have the water going over the rocks because the rocks are in the back. Whoops, you see I goofed a little bit here, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. And I can take that and do that. And then I'm going to go back to my big brush. And it needs a little more blue. And now what's happened is I've mixed the paint up and I've got the brown in with the blue. So we'll just see how this turns out. It's a little bit different color, but it's all right. Okay, so now we're going to put the water in here in the background. And I want you to notice how I've made it about, this is called the golden mean. It's 1/3 and 2/3. Now we're going in here to put, that looks like rough water back there, but and remember, water is horizontal. So we're having this go horizontal, and then we come in here, and we're going to have a few little more water in here, and we're going to have some reflections there, and there are reflections coming off of these rocks, of course, and reflections coming off of here too. And it's a still morning, so we have some reflections and we have them going down here, and I've got to be careful to make sure that I keep them flat. And then we're going to put a few other colors in here. Let's see what we have. We want a little bit of the red reflection because of the sunrise. And you know, if you goof, just take it out. How easy is that? You just put it in, take it out. But it's nice if you can, with watercolor, not overdo it too much. I mean, you don't want to go in and start taking everything out. And then we're going to put a little of the blue in there. And I've got to be, as we get closer, these reflections are going to get bigger. And we're going to have a few little reflections going down like this, here. And I want a passage going in. So that's what's happening here. And I see a little bit right here. We want to take that out like that. And of course, we're going to have a few reflections in here. And it really is fun to put paint on paper. Just try it. And now, what we're going to do is we're going to go in and hit with our darks. We're just going to hit some really darks, because where the water hits the rocks, it gets dark. Algae forms here. And then, of course, we can't forget that we're going to use our rigger, this great little rigger, is that there are cracks in the rocks. So we're going to put a few little cracks in. And this brush is so much fun. It dances. And you see we're getting a little goof there? Well, who cares? We'll put a little crack there. There's always a way to fix it up. And we're going to have a little crack going. Oh, that's pretty dark, but that's fine. And some other little cracks that go in here. And I just feel as if we need to have something there. I don't know why, but I just do. And some of this is just plain intuitive. Now, of course, in the foreground, we want to have a few more these dark parts of the rock that go behind. And we could even put a little bit of, sometimes there might be seaweed in here. Who knows what it is, but it's going to make it much, much more interesting. And I think we need, I know what we're going to do. There are these little birds called cormorants. And we're going to put a few little cormorants right here on the rock. And you see their little heads like that. We're going to have them all lined up. There goes the paint down there. They're little birds just like that. And then we have them going like this. Little shadow there. And there might even be one guy over here. Who knows why he's over there. But they're just these cute little birds. And we're just, believe it or not, we're getting pretty close to finishing up. I'll go back and look at this and do different things to it. But basically, we have the idea that they're rocks. It's early morning. It's sunrise. It's so beautiful. And we know that we have I've recreated this feeling that was in my heart, this love of the water, this love of the rocks, incredible love of waking up in the morning. So it's so important. Pick up your brushes. Do something creative. It doesn't matter whether you dance or sing or laugh, but do something creative. It makes your life so, so much richer. And now I'm just going to sign this right here. And I sign with my little rigger. And that's what creativity feels like today for me. Thank you so much for joining me. Be creative, laugh, have fun, enjoy your life, and creativity really does make a difference.
For more inspiration and to order DVDs, please visit mimisammis.com. Funding for Love to Paint with Mimi was provided by Agnes Gund, Utrecht Art Supplies, celebrating 60 years, and by Kelly and Robert Day. Additional funding was provided by the following: